Do you know what percentage of people over the age of 18 drink alcohol in the United States? In 2022, it was 84.1%. I'm sure many of you watching indulge in a drink or two. There's nothing wrong with that. It's legal and it's socially accepted, so long as you're over the age of 21 and you drink responsibly. But have you stopped to think about the effects of alcohol? Something as simple as why alcohol causes hangovers. Keep watching, because in this video, we will explain what happens to your brain and your body when you indulge in that occasional drink. First, let's talk about the basics. What is alcohol and how does it interact with our systems? Alcohol is a small molecule that can be quickly absorbed into the bloodstream after you consume it. The thing about alcohol is that unlike other substances, it's not digested in the stomach. Our bodies absorb the alcohol through the stomach lining and the small intestine. Once it's in the bloodstream, it crosses what's known as the blood-brain barrier. This is usually a protective mechanism that's in place to stop things from getting through and influencing the brain. But alcohol is small and sneaky. It can pass through the blood-brain barrier without a problem. So within 10 minutes of you taking that first sip, you will feel the effects of alcohol. Now, let's talk about the brain. Imagine your brain is like a bustling city with messages constantly sent between neighborhoods. These messages are carried by chemical messengers called neurotransmitters. In the city, there are two superhero neurotransmitters. Superhero GABA's superpower is its ability to calm you. When we drink alcohol, it's like inviting GABA to the party. Alcohol has a way of boosting the calming effects of GABA, making us feel relaxed and less anxious. That's why a glass of wine might help you unwind at the end of the day. Like I said before, this city has another superhero, dopamine. Superhero dopamine is also known as the feel-good messenger. When you drink alcohol, dopamine shows up more in some regions of the brain. The surge of dopamine gives us that feel-good feeling. It's the brain's way of saying, hey, this feels nice. Now, the thing about the brain is that it's pretty clever. It knows just how to adapt to changes quickly. If the brain detects that there's extra GABA and dopamine at the party when you drink alcohol, the brain might start relying on alcohol to maintain balance. That's when things get a bit tricky, potentially leading to dependence and addiction. Remember how I said dopamine makes you feel good? I want to explain this point a little bit more. How exactly does alcohol make you feel good? Imagine your brain has a unique highway called the reward pathway. This highway is all about making you happy and encouraging you to do things that are rewarding. Now, when we drink, it's like throwing a big party on this reward highway. The main guest of honor is a neurotransmitter called dopamine. When you take that first sip, alcohol tells your brain to release a bunch of dopamine, creating this great feeling of pleasure. It's like a little reward for having a good time. That's why you might feel more relaxed and cheerful when drinking with friends. But here's the thing, too much of a good thing can cause trouble. The brain can get a bit confused if we constantly throw big parties on the reward highway by drinking too much. It might start to rely on alcohol to feel good and forget how to have fun on its own. In situations like this, people find themselves wanting more and more drinks to chase that happy feeling, which can lead to some problems down the road. The brain is a pretty important organ. It does important things, including helping us with our thoughts and memory. Think of your brain as a computer. Like a computer, the brain has some cool functions that helps us make decisions. It helps us concentrate and remember things. When we bring alcohol into the picture, it's like adding a bit of interference to the system. Imagine you're trying to do a puzzle and suddenly someone starts shaking the table. It becomes harder to focus, right? Well, that's a bit like what alcohol does to your brain's ability to concentrate. It can make staying sharp and on top of things a little bit more challenging. Have you ever had a night where you couldn't remember everything clearly after a few drinks? That's because alcohol can interfere with the brain's process of forming new memories. It's like the brain's save button didn't work well during the party. Here's the catch. The interference is usually temporary, especially if you drink in moderation. But if you have a habit of drinking heavily every day, it could potentially lead to more lasting effects on your memory and thinking skills. So now that it's clear what alcohol does to the brain, let's see what happens to the body when you drink alcohol. Picture your body as a well-coordinated team with different players, and alcohol can be a bit of a game changer, not always in a good way. First up, let's talk about the liver. This organ is like your body's cleanup crew. When you drink, the liver takes charge and starts breaking down the alcohol. But like any superhero with limits, the liver can get overwhelmed if you throw too much at it. That's why over time, heavy drinking can cause some severe health issues like liver disease. Another thing about alcohol is that it's what's called a diuretic. That means when you drink alcohol, it makes your body lose more water. What's the number one way the body gets rid of water? That's right, urination. So it's a good idea to drink some water along with your alcoholic drinks to stay hydrated. One more thing. Ever notice that you don't sleep as well after a night of drinking? Alcohol is to be blamed for that too. Alcohol has this funny way of making you sleepy initially, but it messes with your internal sleep cycle. So the rest you get might not be the quality rest you get otherwise. And without quality rest, you wake up, you guessed it, hungover. This is only scratching the surface when it comes to alcohol's harmful effects. There's a lot more. Long-term use of alcohol use is associated with severe cardiovascular issues like high blood pressure and cardiomyopathy, and it can increase your chances of having a stroke or heart attack. That's not all. Alcohol can also weaken your immune system and make you more susceptible to infections and illnesses. Pancreatitis, increased risk of cancer, gastrointestinal problems, and nutritional deficiencies are also worth mentioning. It's important to note that the impact of alcohol can vary from person to person, and factors like genetics, overall health, and individual tolerance plays a huge role. Moderate and responsible alcohol consumption is generally considered less harmful, but excessive and chronic use poses significant health risks. Having been a substance abuse counselor for nearly a decade now, I've worked with some clients whose out-of-control alcohol use has led to some significant health issues. That's on top of the addiction they've developed. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, excessive alcohol use is responsible for approximately 95,000 deaths in the United States each year. Globally, alcohol is responsible for about 3 million deaths each year. These deaths were caused by the immediate effects of alcohol, like alcohol poisoning, as well as the long-term consequences of chronic alcohol misuse, like liver disease, cardiovascular problems, and cancers. So we hope you learned something useful from this video. If you did, click the like button. It's the number one way to get our content out to more people who might benefit from it. If you still need to subscribe to the channel, click the subscribe button now. As always, remember to spread loving kindness to all beings around you and be the change you want to see in the world. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.